Hello everyone. I hope you're all fine. I'm June Nandi ma'am. Welcome to my channel English Mate. Today's topic of discussion is transitive and intransitive verb. A verb comes from Latin verbum, a word. It is so called because a verb is the most important word in a sentence. No sentence is possible without a verb. Because a verb tells us what a person or thing does. It also tells us what is done to a person or a thing. What a person or thing is. Let us see some examples. She designs clothes. She is the subject. Designs is the verb. Now, if I ask a question to design, the question what? What does she design? She designs clothes. So object here is clothes. Okay. Now, my mother polished the vase. Similarly, if I ask here a question, what? What did my mother polish? My mother polished the vase. The object here is the vase. Another example, the actors were rehearsing a play. Now, if I ask the question again, what were the actors rehearsing? They were rehearsing a play. So the object here is play. So you see that when we ask the question what to the verb, when we ask the question what to the verbs, we get the answer object as the object. These verbs are called transitive verbs. So the verbs which answer the question what are called transitive verbs. We should get the answer of what as the object. Supposing you get the answer as the subject, then it is not a transitive verb. Another example you see, the horse kicked the man. If I ask the question, whom or what? Okay? What kicked the horse? It's not possible. Whom did the horse kick? He kicked the man. So the man here is the object. So the answer to what and whom gives the object. So we see that in a transitive verb, the verb denotes an action which passes over from the doer to the object. This means that this verb action is passed. This is the subject or the doer of the action. So the doer of the action is passed over. Okay, so it is passed over to the man. So the action which is done by the doer is passed to the man who is the object here. Hence, a transitive verb is a verb that denotes an action which passes over from the doer to the object. Next, we come to another type of verb. We'll see it with the help of examples. Okay? Now, the child cried loudly. Now, if I ask question to these verbs, these three verbs, and these are the subject. Now, if I ask question, what or whom to these verbs, will I get the answer as the object? We'll see that. What? The child cried? It's not possible. Whom? The child cried? No. So what is the question to these? The question to these are cried. If I ask the question, whom, what, we are not getting the answer as the object. The question to this verb is how. How did the child cry? The child cried loudly. But you see, loudly, rapidly, suddenly, these are not the objects. Here we see that the action is not passed. It's not passed to any object. It stays within the doer or the subject. It stays within the doer or the subject. It is not passed down to any object because there is no object here. Okay. Similarly, another example, a tiny bird lived under the caves. Okay. A tiny bird lived under the caves. Now, lived is the verb. Okay. Now, I ask a question to live. If I ask what or whom, what lived a tiny bird? It's not possible. Whom lived a tiny bird? It doesn't give me any answer. Right. So, the question to this verb is where? Where did a tiny bird live? Where is the question to this verb? Where did the tiny bird live? The tiny bird lived under the caves. Another example, birds fly. The fly is the verb, birds is the subject. Now if I ask question to fly what or whom, I will not get the answer. What fly birds? No, I don't get any answer. Whom? Whom is also not applicable. Whom fly the birds? So what is the question to this verb? Birds fly in the air. Where? Where do the birds fly? The birds fly in the air. So here we see I do not get the answer to the question what or whom. So these verbs where I do not get the answer to what and whom, as there's no object here beside it, is known as intransitive verbs because the action is not passed over to any object. There's no object there. It remains within the doer or the subject. These type of verbs are called intransitive verbs. So an intransitive verb is a verb that denotes an action which does not pass. It does not pass over to an object. Okay? So just note it down if you like. Another point I would like to add is most transitive verbs take up a single object. But verbs like give, ask, promise, tell, etc., they take up two objects. One is direct object and another is indirect object. For example, my father gave me a pen. What did my father give? A pen. So a pen is the direct object. The verb here is gave, subject is father, and the direct object is the pen. Because the action gave is passed down to the direct object. Now, whom did my father give? My father gave the pen to me. So, me is the indirect object. It's the receiver of the direct object. Okay? Now, he promised me a book. He is the subject. Promise is the verb. What did he promise? He promised a book. So book is the direct object. Whom did he promise a book? He promised a book to me. So me is the indirect object. Indirect object is the receiver of the direct object. And the action of the verb is passed on to the book. So the book is the direct object. I hope you all have understood what I have explained. If you all have understood my lesson, please do subscribe and press the like button down, and do watch my next video on verbs of incomplete predication, which is the continuation of this video. Thank you.